Okay. I can't hear anything. Can y'all hear me? Because I can't hear anything. Yes, Nomad. I don't even know if I typed that right. Okay. Can you hear? Yes, you can hear. All right. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to throw this link up here. Hey, Misbehaved. If you hold on, let me email her. Yeah, we're still working on this. I've got sucky audio now because it wouldn't recognize my it wouldn't recognize my yeah, it helps if you get an email. My microphone, for whatever reason, I had to shut down my whole computer and let me tell her. Yes, I put the link on chat. So you should be able to come right on. All right. All right. You know, I want to think that one day I'm going to look back at this and laugh. I don't think so. I really don't. So let's see. Tell Miss that a headset with a microphone is always needed for a good stream. Yeah, you know, and I know that app said that you know, you could use a cell phone or whatever. You know, they lied. They lied. I hope I'm not being
hierarchy, like the Freemasonry, the Mafia has.
Stop. Hope y'all aren't hearing that. I'm trying to just load stuff right now. Okay. Let me go back to me. Okay. All right. Everybody's here except for Miss. Let's see. All right. I'm guessing that when I'm going to get a note. Y'all, will I get y'all who use StreamYard, will I get a notification when she's on? I don't know. I don't know. You just did it, so okay. It's looking like pecan pie. All right. Maybe we're done with the shenanigans. Okay. So I already invited her, but I got nothing else right now. Maybe she's. Oh. Okay. Let me put that link up there again. There you go, Misbehaved. Like, I feel like I'm gonna need a drink, and I don't even drink. Like, I'm allergic to alcohol. Isn't that crazy? It's true. It's true. I really am. I get messed up really bad, really quick. Ooh, let's do it. Oh, there you go. I don't look dead. All right. I dropped the link. Hey, Professor Pug. All right. We all did this again. All right. Oh, there she is.
I'm coming. I was all talking to you. I was all talking to
Yay!
you like I was
I
like,
see you. I hear you. Oh, there she is.
I'm coming. I was all talking to you. I was all talking to you like Okay.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm getting a bad echo, but I think it's just in my
I
ears.
turned off my YouTube. It's because I had my YouTube on. I turned it off. It should be fine now. Is it still echoing or is it?
Yeah, I did that like forever when I was on with Evil CJ. I couldn't figure out why I was having this echo. I had my YouTube on.
Yeah, I have it on, but I have it on mute, so I don't know if it makes a difference.
No, I think I don't hear anything now. So
okay,
with headphones, it's a disaster. Yay, we are all here. I feel like I got a workout. What about you?
I know.
And I had to. I actually like this, the way it's going better. I might have to subscribe to StreamYard. I really don't want to, but yeah. Just lost my train of thought. You're good. You're good.
I feel like I'm all like off-centered.
I feel like I just, ran a marathon or something.
I know. Try doing that.
That was crazy. Yeah. Absolute nuts.
Good thing I'm not allergic to alcohol.
Are you not? Well, for years I didn't know what the problem was. And it turns out I get real stupid real fast, but like I flush like when
What are you
I tell
drinking?
you, well, I mean, I know people are like, well, that's just drink it. No, like literally it burns like a half a beer, I'm under the table. Like bad.
I have a friend that's allergic to it too.
Yeah, and it's weird because I and talk about getting stupid fast. That's me. I'm gonna try to turn these lights down. Am I too bright, y'all? This looks different.
That's how I felt like the other one. I thought that I looked like I was a ghost.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, see, now it's getting darker, and because I couldn't use my light, I think you weren't you weren't online yet when I was talking about I electrocuted myself last week with my live stream. Yeah. This lamp behind me, I thought it was just like a burnt place in the plug maybe, and when I went to plug it in, because that's what I use when I do a video, whatever, so I light up this side of the room, and it like really, really shocked me. Well, at the end of my stream, I just pulled the plug out because my little turner on-y thing doesn't work. And I just need a new one. But anyway.
Time for a new one, maybe. You don't want to burn your house down.
Well, that's what happened. Like this whole part of the house just went black. I lost everything, and I was in there trying to find the breaker, and it was a big old mess.
All from
and
that little
yeah, and you would think after I electrocuted myself at the beginning of the stream, I would have remembered, hey, don't touch that.
Oh, but especially during a stream.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I had been talking about, and I know, like, I don't have that much time on. Now that we've wasted forever on the other stream, I don't have that much time on StreamYard, so I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't want to turn into a pumpkin or something in an hour. But
I have mine, but I just don't even remember how to. Because I always have someone run it for me, so I never know how to even do it really. But if we need to switch over, I could put you as a signer on it, and you could do it.
Yeah. But here's what I was thinking, and I mean, I know. Look, I love your videos. I can't remember how long ago it was that I found yours. I was telling them, I think some of the first ones I found were Julia and True Crime Design and Crime Night, and when I was going down the rabbit hole. And then I came on yours, and I was like, oh my gosh, everybody. I feel like everybody knows more than I do. But I like to talk because I'm Southern and I've got an opinion, and when I find something, I just really, I have to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think my first probably 5, 6 videos were just kind of half cocked, me seeing something and getting all upset about it. But anyway, yeah.
Someone that gets upset.
Have you been following? Huh?
Go ahead.
Oh, have you been following this case for like the whole time?
No, I think I just started like, well, I just have been on here for like just over a year. So I basically started like right when I started doing my YouTube.
Wow.
Is when I started following Delphi, yeah. Because I used to be hardcore to the Valo case. I used to like follow that, like, and then I finally had to take a break from it. And so I took a break from it and ended up in Delphi, which probably even worse.
Yeah. Far worse. Yeah, I was following. Well, I've had heard about Delphi for years, and I knew it as the Snapchat murders, but I was with the narrative a long time before I fell down the rabbit hole. And so I was doing vintage crime, and that's still what I wish more people wanted to watch it, because that's my favorite thing to do. But I follow most all of the high profile cases, and then some other ones. But yeah, Delphi is a stinker.
Yeah.
And I think that's because it, it's because it's so, the tentacles, like Doug Carter says, the tentacles.
Right.
And so, I was thinking this week I was researching, and I found a lot of good stuff, but it just doesn't make sense. Here's the thing: you can look at your, LA cover up. You can look at the family and say their statements are inconsistent. You can look at, Freemasonry. You can look at the potential cult clubs and
It
the
fits
drug
everything.
trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I started thinking, there are so many uh answers or potential scenarios. And I got to thinking, they've got to all tie together some way. And so I
Or at least
started,
like little parts of it, maybe. There's a little piece of all of it in somehow.
yeah, you'd think. Oh, now I'm getting dim. So I'm gonna try. So I had this thought. I thought I'm gonna start researching some things, and if I can pull this video up, I started thinking about, because I work in the jail. Okay, I'm a nurse. I work with law enforcement, the correctional officers, and everybody's in and out, the deputies, everybody. And I've gotten to know a lot of the criminals.
Yeah.
A lot of the inmates. You build a working relationship with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I got to thinking about how things are. I'm from a small town, much, much, much bigger than Delphi. But still, on the grand scheme of things, it's a small town. And I started thinking about how things work. And I started wondering, we have a lot of gang activity here. I'll start with that. And I mean, do you, is that something in your area that?
It's not so much in my area, but we do have it here, but not like anything like, I mean, it's nothing, I don't know, I guess not like LA or something like that. I don't know. I don't see much of it, but I guess it's here.
Yeah.
In Phoenix, maybe there's more of it than there is over here, but yeah.
Well,
but not like serious. I don't think we have like serious like gangs like some other places do, where it's like, the Crips and the Bloods. I mean, we might, but I just don't see it. It's not a problem for me. I guess I should say.
Well, I didn't know until a few years ago that it was really a problem here. But apparently, like, we have in this area, well, all over Alabama, but there are a good many chicken plants here. And we get a lot of immigrants that the companies bring in to work. And I think that's really kind of exacerbated the problem as far as, gangs. Not to be racist. I mean, good people come in too. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But they're coming in definitely
Right. They're
now.
coming in and nobody's vetting them. So here we are.
Yeah.
Ruckus says, not all folks in jail are bad people. That's true. Most in jail are normal, just like everyone else, and made a bad mistake. Absolutely. Um, so, yeah. So I got like a good introduction. Most of my problematic inmates are the gang members. And I didn't, I thought it was small town gang, just kind of stupid stuff playing. And then I realized we have like a big Mexican cartel here.
Okay. I guess they're saying we do too here, so I just didn't know.
Yeah. Well, so I started thinking about this and I wanted to like bounce some ideas off of you. And I like just shut me up if you have something to say. Like, because I don't,
I usually do.
I know. So, like, I don't want to do all the talking here because you are my guest. So, I mean,
No, how about it?
But I'm dumb. Okay, I'm dumb. I'm not a criminal. So I started literally looking on YouTube. I like, how do gangs work? Like, how do they run a gang? All I know is about the what you see on TV, The
TV.
Godfather. So
Remember, but Delphi isn't like what you see on TV. They made sure they let us know that like 5,000 times.
yeah,
It's not like on TV. I'm like, for some reason I started thinking there's something behind them. They keep telling us that, Okay, we know that now,
yeah. Well, so I came across this is like, look, this is like gang 101. All right. So y'all, this is where I started. And this is like, I don't know, a minute, maybe a minute and a half. Let me see if I can play this. Well,
is a small group of leaders who made decisions about alliances and assassinations. Lieutenants delegate the orders of the command, overseeing intelligence, finances, and training. Hitmen do the dirty work, carrying out executions, kidnappings, torture sessions, and territorial violence. At the fringes, 4 different types of groups operate. Hawks are paid to keep watch over borders and distribution centers. They make a call if something unusual happens, like an increase in border inspections. Leopards are prostitutes who act as spies, gathering intelligence from their clients about the cartel's enemies. Acquisitions get arms and ammunition to the cartels, primarily from the United States. Communications intercept phone calls, tail suspects, and sometimes are involved with the bloodier crimes. The drug trade in Mexico employs 500,000 people. The cartels pay people from all kinds of backgrounds, including Americans, to smuggle drugs across the border. The most common way for drugs to enter the US is in the back of a truck. Only 20% of trucks crossing the border into the United States are inspected. An estimated 95% of the cocaine entering the US passes through Mexico. Mexico also supplies 80% of our meth and up to 2/3 of our marijuana. At the busiest border crossing in Texas, a truck enters the country every 15 seconds. Despite appearances, drug cartels are not impenetrable. Instead of the kingpin strategy, which creates violence, the International Drug Policy Consortium advocates targeting the middle.
okay, that's where I left off with editing that down from. I stole that.
Yeah, that's it. It's very, it's true, all of it, but so you're wondering if like there's somehow that tied into it?
Well, when I was watching this video trying to get an education on gangs, I noticed all the different players, okay?
Yeah.
And you have females, males, you have ones that do this and do that. And so I started, which brings me to my next video. I started looking at Okay, and that was talking about the Mexican cartel, how it's changed from being the big kingpin to more leaders.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can
And more
get this
spread
one.
out.
Yes. So then I started thinking about, okay, all right, if we have a different kind of gang, then what if there are a lot of players? So I started looking up connections, and this one is just maybe a little bit longer. I kind of chopped it up, but I found this, and this is talking about Italy. But I'm not naive enough to think that, what goes on in Italy isn't mirrored over here. So let me see if I can get this. Let me get this back to
hierarchy.
wow, that was lovely.
That was a faster one.
The mafia has initiation rituals and rules of behavior rooted in secrecy.
In Italy, the bond between Freemasonry and mafia groups in the South has a long, complicated history. And both have a long, contentious relationship with the pillars of Italian political and commercial society, one where rumors of collusion and corruption are never too far from the surface.
The fact that the 'Ndrangheta is well connected and deeply rooted in the society, with connection to politicians, businessmen, police officer, magistrate, judges, and that's the strain of the mafia.
In a wiretapped conversation in 2013, one 'Ndrangheta boss, Pantaleone Mancuso, summed up the relationship. The 'Ndrangheta is no longer, he said. The Freemasons remain. In 2017, a series of police raids discovered 193 high-ranking members of the Sicilian Mafia and the Calabrian 'Ndrangheta to be members of lodges across the South. According to the work of dogged prosecutors and the testimony of mob turncoats, the secrecy of Masonic lodges provided the perfect place to conduct shady deals with figures from the business and political elite.
Okay. Okay, let me. All right. Is everybody hearing again?
Yeah, I
Are
can
we
hear you.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm learning this StreamYard part on the fly here. Much easier, I might say. So yeah, I mean, basically that video is talking about how um the Freemasons and the Italian gangs and law enforcement and business owners and public officials are all tied in together. And like she said at the end, one of the reasons that they are drawn to joining with the Freemason group is because of the nature, the secrecy, that they automatically have. Their buildings, everything is secret. So it's a good
It's very
place to,
weird.
yeah, you can have clandestine meetings in there.
Yeah.
So, I started thinking about the enforcers, the leaders, the whole gang culture. It would take, if you want to talk tentacles, let's say the business is drug trafficking and or CSAM.
Uh-huh.
And I think, they probably make money in a lot of different ways. But it makes sense to me that when Doug Carter is talking about tentacles, and you can't really arrest one person because if it is spread out and you have a little bit, I'm not saying that everybody is uh, involved, not all of law enforcement, not all of public
Right.
officials,
Right.
but if you have that core, and you already know the Freemasons aren't going to tell on each other.
Right.
And if they're all involved, they can't.
Get down.
So it made sense to me that it's a whole network, which is why it's hard to put this puzzle together, because you look at this and you look at that and you're like, well, it could be, but what if it all is? What if the tentacles are all a big group?
Well, I believe that, I mean, it's possible because that remember when I told you I found something that I was going to send to you because I thought you would present it better than me.
Mhm.
It started in Minnesota or Minnesota, or I think Minnesota, but it's a CSAM ring, but they actually do the snuff films. But it started like in like 78 or something like that, and it still is going today. But it went clear over to all the other countries, and like there's so many people involved, and it's so detailed. But it's just crazy because it started right here, you know. But
Right.
yeah. And they have like there was a boy that went missing, and then they later saw that he is on the cover of a movie, which is a snuff film movie. But it's just like it's so many people involved. It's crazy that people even get involved in that stuff in general, you know?
Yeah. And you know, Justice was saying, yeah, possible Illuminati, absolutely. And Professor Pug says, mark my words, they will call you a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
definitely. They do.
that's all right. That's all right. I
I
don't
just
care.
like to look at all the options. I mean, that whatever anything's possible because we don't know. So as long as anything's, as long as we don't know, we can guess what the possibilities could be.
Yeah.
My opinion.
And right. And like I have another video. I don't know if I'm going to show it though. It's talking about a case where really somebody was supposed to be or said he was a gang member, but he wasn't. And anyway, he was unfortunately unalived. And but they go into talking a little bit about gangs and their justice. Okay, so he was talking about having a mark. He called it a V, but I don't think it's necessarily unaliving. But basically, and this blows my mind how people run a drug operation from prison. Okay,
I
I
know.
don't like who listens to somebody in prison, but apparently they do. I don't know why. I guess it's still the connections on the outside, but a lot of people have been busted drug rings in prison.
Right.
Craziness. um so I started thinking about, Derek German rolled. Okay, he has a long history. Okay,
Right. Right.
no, not passing judgment. It is what
Right.
it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. It's
Right.
facts.
Right, it's facts. And I know this, when you are in jail, you're often recruited into a gang. Sometimes
Yeah. I
you don't
think you
have a
have to
choice.
for protection, kind of.
Right. Like you might not even want to join a gang, but there you are in jail and you kind of have
You
to.
don't want to get your butt beat either.
Exactly. And I mean, that happens. So I started thinking, what if, he was, whether willingly or unwillingly, a part of something, but yet he rolls on someone else, you know, his time is reduced. It would be, and I know the theory
I
has
don't even
been,
think he got any time. I think he just got like probation and fines, right?
yeah, yeah, he really got a good deal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've theorized a lot of times, about was it a retaliation, but it might not even be that. It's just kind of, it could be disciplinary. Um, if if you have a number of people who are in this trafficking ring of some kind, whether it is snuff film, CSAM, if it's, strictly substance trafficking or whatever, you have to, maybe he did what he needed to do for himself and his family, and that's talk. But even if it might not be revenge, as in, the friends of the person he rolled on,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'm gonna get you." It could have been like they were showing in that video about the hierarchy and who does what. What if it was
Right.
just like,
Yeah, it was out of
look,
his control. Yeah.
yeah, what if Libby and Abby were, a mark because of that, and, they just didn't have any choice. The enforcers, whatever, they said, "Hey, you have to do this." And so, of course, then everybody else in that circle, whether it's the outlaw gangs, the cults, I kind of see it now. as a whole conglomeration of people. And unless one person talks, they're going to keep it a secret, you know?
You're right.
And maybe that's what Doug Carter is waiting on, somebody else that they can put pressure on. But, you know, the chances of them getting unalived are really good.
Yeah, that's the thing is you hear about like that cop that committed suicide, and then
Yes. Oh, yeah.
that one that RNN put out, that one about that guy who got arrested for something, for shooting a paintball gun, and then he ended up dead on the side of the road. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I don't know why people didn't look more into that, because to me that's like totally suspicious. That why did he end up dead on the side of the road?
Exactly. Thank you, Raggedy. Nice of you to be here. Okay, Professor Pug says exactly. Yeah, I think it's a whole. That's really where I'm leaning, because I don't see, you know, and I know. Look, I get upset sometimes with things that don't make sense and inconsistencies in family statements. I'm not saying that it's right, okay?
Right.
But, and I'm not saying, I don't know. I don't know whether they're involved or not. But could it be, if the family is inconsistent and if they know something? Because, you know, so many people have said that there was a video where Becky was saying, they've got our girls. Now, I've never seen that video, but you know,
I think what people mean by that is when she said, I think it was on Dr. Phil or something like that. She goes, they took them. You know, she kind of said like that, which is kind of weird how she said it, but because for me, I don't feel like they took them. I feel like they got killed where they were at. They just got killed, but it is called, I guess, an abduction because they got moved from one spot to the other. But I think that when people say that, she said that is from that video, because she did say someone came and they took them. And I don't know. I think that's what people were going off of, but I could be wrong.
It could be. I don't know. You know, without seeing it, I can't say for sure. Some people have said it was part of a, I guess, a news thing early on, like the 13th or something like that. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't know. But I'm saying this. What if they do know what happened, and what if they had to make up a story, not because
they're
of
guilty,
nefarious reasons, but because they're afraid.
Yeah.
If it is a gang-related, multi-person operation, what else could you do?
I feel like they are afraid of something, because their reaction to Richard being arrested makes me feel like they think they know that the wrong guy's getting arrested. They don't seem like they're okay. I mean, they just seem really kind of almost like not annoyed, but they're not comfortable with it for some reason. I don't know. The reaction to it just was really odd to me. And I don't know. I think that there is something that they are afraid of, whether it be, I mean, I think, and then I do believe it's probably a threat somehow to their family, but I don't think that they killed them. I don't, but I do think they're hiding something. You know what I mean? That's what I probably should be more clear in my videos and stuff, but I don't think that Kelsey or anyone went out and killed these girls. But I do think that they're hiding something that would put the truth out there.
I mean, yeah, I guess it depends on what I'm looking at as to whether I think they're involved or not.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard because everything changes. It's like I just came across this video last night. It's like from like the day that they were missing, or the very first day, and they were doing live coverage of it and stuff. And I didn't know. So we always say that they got the video of the bridge guy and the audio, but they only have the audio and the photo. So it could, and they weren't even connecting the two at first. They're like, we don't know if the voice goes with the photo. So how do they know it's not a separate person? You know what I mean? Because it isn't a video. It's a photo and audio with nothing. They can't see anything on it. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, and when you go back and you look at some earlier press conferences, that's what makes me mad, really. because they lead you to believe that that is the voice that goes with the picture. I mean, they pretty much say that, but it's
And there's
not.
not a video with Abby walking in the background. You know what I mean? Like they say,
Right.
because there's not a video like that.
Yeah. Let's see. Professor Pug says, what did Mike Patty mean when he told Carter, "You owe me"? See, that's
I
another thing
know.
I've not. Yeah, that's it's kind of like I haven't seen that, but it's like the picture of Bridge Guy that I heard for a long time. He had handcuffs, he had a mask on, he had a stripe down his leg.
Like he had
That
on like
photo,
hot pants. Yeah.
yeah, and all I could do was say, "Well, I'm not calling you a liar, but I haven't seen it and I haven't vetted it, so I can't talk about it." So that's kind of where I am with some of this stuff.
Mhm.
But how this this is to me when he says you owe me, I mean, think about it. The governor just donated land for a ballpark, you know? And there's
Yeah.
another interview. Go
I
ahead.
wonder if I wonder if it's I started thinking maybe the ballpark is they're laundering money through there somehow for for something bigger. You know
I
what I
mean, it
mean?
could be. Yeah.
Because they were taking, it was just like a week after the girls were murdered and Mike was taking the display down and saying, let's build this ballpark. It's like, isn't it
Mhm.
a little bit soon to also be thinking of building a ballpark?
I Yeah. First of all, if that were my child, I wouldn't want a ballpark with their name on it. I wouldn't want to see it every day. I wouldn't want to be reminded. But, to each his own.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that there's a big question there. And why is the governor just going to give you land and then they got all this money for it? Okay,
They get
that
so many grants there. They get so much money in there. And then they get so much money.
yeah. And so like that's my question. I'm just telling you, I couldn't get land donated from the governor. And I
Right.
know people. I know some really important people,
Right.
but I just don't see the governor doing that for me. And
Right.
it makes you wonder what kind of ties do you have? And yeah, certainly it's possible.
And must I say, if you like, the Patties, they also own like 20 acres of land. Plus, if you look at their house, it's a nice big property and a nice big house.
Mhm.
But their jobs aren't really that. I mean, he works down at the tractor place, and she does her appraisal. But does she carry out the family? You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like that much money to own that much stuff. I know it's a lot cheaper over there, but compared to like if you bought it here, but they neither of them came from money, so it's like
Yeah.
how do you, and it was just like even what they make just jumped one year. It went from like, I don't know what it was, but it just like jumped like enormously in just like 1 year, which I mean it could be, I mean it's not really even, but it's not even
I mean,
relevant, but
yeah, and I mean, I'm trying to word things carefully because,
and the bridge,
lawsuits.
like the whole thing, the bridge, they like
Yeah.
the bridge, they're like, we have all the money, how much money it was going to cost to fix it and stuff. They did get the money for that, but then
Mhm.
why did they sit on fixing it for so long?
I don't know. That was weird to me.
It's
Like
kind
that
of
would
sad to see it redone in a way, because I wish they would have kept
Yeah.
more of the look of it and still made it safer. You know what I mean? I know it'd be hard, that they could have done it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about because I mean, yes, it's a much safer, obviously. I don't think I would have
Yeah.
crossed the bridge myself the
Oh
way it was.
no, I
Um,
would never. I would be scared to cross it now.
yeah, but it was always weird to me in the very beginning when they're like, okay, it's safe. Y'all come out to the trails. We're going to be improving the trails. I'm like, who wants to drag people, invite people from other areas, come walk the trails where people were unalived and we have no idea who did it? Like,
Yeah,
that's not safe.
like advertising for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those trails, they've had plans for those trails for a long time, and they've wanted even Ron Logan's property for a long time. And even that whole Freedom Bridge connecting from the other side to to, the Freedom Bridge area. I mean, they have a big plan. That's why it's so hard not to let that one go. You know what I mean? Because they have planned that area very well. And it is what some of those people over there are like destined to do. But
yeah. I mean, I'm sure it brings in the ball fields and the trails. I'm sure it brings in, a good amount of money for, even though it's free, people have to eat, drink, whatever, get gas in Delphi. I mean, it's I'm sure a lot of improvement, but
and I think that's what they wanted, is to bring more people in. I know when Evans was mayor, he was talking about bringing more people in, and he's still not off my clock. You know what I mean? But
sure.
Yeah.
And that's why when I found the case of the boys on the tracks, I was just looking at it thinking, man, this sounds so much like Delphi. I mean, honestly, one of the guys, does the same thing, switches sides, becomes gets a job with the prosecution. I'm like, and it.
See, to me, that is something is weird about that. Definitely.
Yes.
For him and Mullins to both go over there.
Yeah. It's like, do you think, I mean, is it, and I'm just asking, okay? Not accusing, just asking.
Yeah.
Is it because you feel like you're safer? Nobody's going to point the finger at you? Nobody's going to call you guilty if you are.
He would also control the evidence. It would all be under their, it's under their control. So I'm like, and so it's a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but someone had rumored a while back ago that the phone ended up missing out of evidence, which I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, we don't know, but it was going around for a little bit. But if that be the case, then we'll know something shady for sure over there.
Oh yeah. And there's also been in other, I think not too far counties away, where they busted officers from selling guns and stuff out of the evidence room. Like,
I did a video. I did a video on that with those. Yeah, there's a lot of good cops too. I'm not saying that the whole Carroll County is shady and dirty and stuff like that, but I think that it takes just a couple cops to convince the others that what they're saying is right, because they want to believe in their fellow officers. You know what I mean? So like if Liggett went and arrested Allen, he could convince the others that it was Allen, and they would believe him because he is their fellow officer, over believing Allen. So I don't think it's hard, but I think one corrupt or two corrupt people can turn a whole department corrupt without even knowing it, kind of.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Professor Pug is saying, what does DC owe Mike Patty? I don't know, but what if it is not arresting somebody, or I don't know. What if they want to sit on this case and not prosecute it until they can get all of them? You know what I'm saying? Or they can get a vast majority. Who knows? I don't know if it's withholding stuff. The thing of it is you see people, and on one side you're like, oh, okay, well, they're good, or they suffered a loss. And on the other hand, they're doing stuff. It's like, what the crap?
Yeah.
It's so hard to believe in anybody.
Yeah. And I mean, and the thing about it, another thing is because how they're doing this is not not right. It is our right. It is our business to know what are if it's to protect the community and the people, you know what I mean? It is our right to know a certain amount of stuff. And the way that the prosecutor, he didn't even go about it the right way. He didn't go get the court order. He didn't go, he just basically says how it is. And even law enforcement can defend themselves against what the prosecutor says, because there's a gag order. So it's like everyone's now stuck in this gag order and the prosecutor, and they're just running it now. And they're not even running it like the legal way.
Yeah.
So it's like, so then it makes you switch back to the prosecutor's office again. Like, why? And we know that they're Freemasons. At least we know that
Nick is.
Yeah. And I could probably bet that Evans and Mullins are too, but I haven't found the proof of that yet.
Well, I mean, You know,
I think
it
about
stands to reason.
what you're saying about how you would it make it so that him going to work for the prosecutor's office, how they wouldn't point his finger for they wouldn't point fingers at him. I think that's why he jumped and got married, because he got married shortly after the murders. I feel like that's why he did it, so he looked like I'm off and married, and
Yeah.
the little protection source. For me, that's what I think, but I don't know how long they were really engaged for.
It could be, and I guess that's why I'm saying, if it's, I guess in my head now I'm thinking it's not just this person from this area of the puzzle. Like, what if they're all under a mandate? You have to play your part.
And maybe,
You're manufacturing. You're the lookouts, like the video was talking about. You're the enforcers. You're the, this. If there is a whole circle of people, it just.
But what would you say the reasoning would be, though, for them to go after the girls, though? You know what I mean?
Well,
Just as a warning, or
it could, honestly, it could have a lot to do with Derek, if he was a part of it. But I mean, like, what if it was, just a trafficking or a CSAM thing? Or maybe it was, maybe they didn't intend for the girls to be unalived. But, what if, Derek was like, hey, you have to pay the penalty. You rolled on another member and you've caused us all this trouble. You have to pay whatever we say. This is what you're going to do.
But how?
And then, the family would have to go along with it, or they're going to come in and unalive everybody.
Well, I mean, that's probably a chance that you'd have to take. You know what I mean? So, go get these girls.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I do have a whole nother theory, but I don't know. I mean, it goes off to, I don't know if you watched that video of mine about the letter, her essay, Kelsey's essay. I'm going to bring it up. That because it was really weird that it surfaced at such a weird time. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I thought I had watched all your videos. Okay, keep going, because I think
it's about
I've
the
seen
essay. It's an essay. She said she wrote.
Oh, the essay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, did you see that video? What my theory was on that? Because it was weird how it surfaced, but I thought maybe, if, say, that theory was true, and Libby found out about her and Kelsey and, say, Evans, if that's who I put it out as, and then he was like, and she was going to go tell somebody, and he was like, no. So whatever happened, because he would have known, Kelsey would have told him maybe that she was going to the bridge, not that she knew what he was going to do. But the whole sweatshirt thing, this is where I think the sweatshirt thing comes in. For some reason, I feel like whoever did this left Kelsey's sweatshirt there to distract them off of them and make it look like Kelsey did it. So Kelsey all of a sudden brings up the sweatshirt story. It's kind of often, it's kind of crazy, but it's not, it's very doable, if that makes sense. Because that sweatshirt story kind of came out of nowhere, and it was just like, and for as far as we know, she didn't have a sweatshirt on, but, and I know it seems so minor, but.
Well, and just the whole the geocaching and the temperature and the clothes but
the timeline.
Right. It's just too, but yeah, I did see that video. I had seen that essay brought up in, I don't know, something I was reading online, and I read it. And it's funny.
That's been lied about too. She said it was for school, but I can imagine that being for school. And then Becky said, I hadn't even seen it. And, it's just like the story changed on that thing too, but it's just weird when it surfaced when it did.
Yeah. Yeah. And that story is, to me, my opinion, it is too detailed and too emotional to be made up.
Or about someone else, about her friend.
Right.
Like, why would she write that about her friend for school?
Right.
When she was like, I think it was like 13. She would have been like 13 when that came out, when she wrote that. I think whoever it is, I think it is about her. And I think whoever it is someone who she does see around town, and they are afraid because she could destroy him. at the same time, because she could destroy him, they, kind of shun her down, like to where she feels like she does in that letter now. Kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's where I got Evans from and all of that. That's why I'm just like thinking, who else looks more suspicious than him?
Yeah, honestly, when I read that essay for the first time, that's who came to mind. Of course, there are other people that have potentials. There's some shady people in the family. We'll just leave it at that.
Because he could have been like 18. That he could have been a lot younger. I mean, think about it. When he was mayor, he was only 25.
Yeah.
So it could very easily have been him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you go back in time to some of these people's parents, grandparents, whatever, like some of these prominent families have, not so clean and ancestors. So
Right.
and I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that makes you bad, but it's sometimes generational. So you can't. I guess what I'm saying is you can't discount it completely either.
Oh, you know what? Another thing I was thinking, as they are saying, how they say, "Oh, Alan put himself." Yeah, he put himself on the thing, but he also went forward and said what he was wearing and all that stuff, and then they put out the picture. But so why isn't they didn't question more into another person who inserted themselves into the case, and that would be the guy that was driving down the road and saw the car backed in at the CPS building, because he said he was going to Delphi, but then they said the camera saw him leaving. It was like when he saw it was like whatever time he said, it was like 2:12, and then he was leaving by 2:25 or something like that, really fast. So I'm like thinking that guy could have just swiped in there, killed him real fast, and took off. You know what I mean? Knowing that Alan was out there somewhere. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because when he says he backed the car in, it was backed in like he was trying to conceal the license plate. To me, I'm like, why would someone say that? All guys back their cars in all the time. I back my car in. You know what I mean? It's not like I wouldn't think, oh, that guy's trying to conceal his license plate, unless you're trying to like throw him under the bus or something.
It is true that guys do that. I don't know why. I don't back myself in because I can't back up. I just can't.
I see. I have to, because I have my sensors, because I can't drive without them, because I don't drive normal, so I have to back in because my sensors help me out, because otherwise I'm going to hit something. I can't even pull in.
Yeah, I'm a mess. I can't do, even with the camera. My kids make fun of me. I can't back up. Let's see. Okay, Lilith says, what about her tweet talking about Kelsey that morning, 3 hours before she dropped them out? Boys are so stupid.
And what about the one before the New Year's too? When she goes, next year's going to be messy and it's going to be sad, but it'll end up working out all right, or something crazy like that. She had a crazy post right before New Year's, but I don't remember exactly.
Really?
Yeah, saying something about the next year was going to be, and this was in 2016. Something about the next year going to be messy and something, and I have probably a screenshot of it somewhere, but I think True Crime Design might have it. But yeah, she did post out something like right before that, and so it was kind of weird. But that message about the boy, like, it's weird for her to say that when she had a boyfriend. The one that she said, "Oh, boys are incredibly stupid," or whatever she said.
Yeah.
Right before the murders.
Yeah. I've heard about that one. I have never heard the one that you just
Oh, Lilith says she has it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to read that, but my glasses are dirty. I couldn't see. I said something about Hunter and Caleb and all that, but I was trying to read it. Yeah, she says I have them all.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's weird to me. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah.
That's a little disturbing. Let me ask you one question. Do you think that there are any real ties from Delphi to Flora?
That's a hard one. I think that I don't think so. I think that they could be tied because of the corrupt people that in Flora, which is, I think, total corruption, and I think it was totally a fraudulent thing, and it ended up being worse than they planned it to be. But I think that some of those people could be tied in with Delphi, but I don't think that the two murders were done for the same reason. if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I don't think the same reason at all. I don't know. There are a lot of things. I'm going to do a whole nother either
I guess it
live or
depends on who
video.
it is. It would depend on who it was, who it was.
Yeah.
It could be, I mean, maybe they have a serial killer. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think Flora was something that went terribly wrong, but I don't think it was malice in the first place, which makes it even worse. Yeah.
Right. I could be wrong too. I don't think there was malice intended as far as
well, in the beginning, for money, all about money. It's all about money.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, there have been a lot of people that have said that some law enforcement, some family members, some prominent people all kind of have a little money scheme going on. And I don't know to what all that entails. Certainly,
and they could be filtering through the ballpark, laundering
Mm-hmm.
it through the ballpark.
I mean, there could be, and then it gets so big. Even if you wanted to tell the truth, how are you going to do that?
Right. Right. And that's kind of like how Becky seems. Becky seems like something's bothering her, and I don't know. I can't just, what I mean. She's not sitting easy with something, and it's because she does know something. But what is the question?
Right. I mean, and I've had this thought, and I think Crime Night just put a video out on it. I think I was listening to it this morning about the interview that she did with James Renner, and how the book, Promise Not to Tell, comes out, and everybody has said, I don't know, given different reasons. Myself, when I watched the video for the first time, I wondered if it was from her a cry for help. I could be wrong. I could be misreading it, but that's the way I took it.
Right.
And I have to say this, no matter what inconsistencies, Betty, so sorry,
Becky.
Becky.
Yeah.
Not Betty, not Batty, Becky. Lord.
Brenda, whoever.
Becky honestly seems to be extremely troubled, but I tell you what bothers me about that is she can't answer a question without looking at Mike and to see if she's saying the right thing.
Like his approval, kind of.
Yeah.
And she doesn't do interviews without him either. I mean, she has done a couple, but yeah.
I mean, it just. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm reading chat.
Oh, no, that's just, I find that sus, but I do think that she's genuinely upset. But, once the big hamster wheel starts rolling and the boulder's going down the hill,
how are you going to stop it?
Kind of stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I mean, especially if her family's, a threat, if the threat's on her family or whatever. But at the same time, I don't know. I still don't. It's still, she's been, I don't know. It's hard. It's so hard to say with them. I mean, and Kelsey, and I don't know why someone just didn't shut her up a long time ago, because she just, I mean, nothing she said in every single interview, she never ever had the same story ever. And she'll say it never changed, but it did change every single time. And it's not like it just changed. And I know people learn stuff. But this is like, she was just saying when she was here in Arizona, all of a sudden she's like, I didn't even know what shoe Libby was wearing. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you're not just learning that now either. It's just like, for some reason, she's was just trying to, I don't know. So for her, it's just like, why would they let her, if everyone's like, she was a child, then she shouldn't have been speaking for the family at all, ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always thought
definitely
that was
made it worse. Yeah.
I mean, did they think it was going to look better, coming from a kid because that was her sister? I don't know. That's
and she didn't talk. Weird. She wouldn't talk about it for a while. So I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like, and that's another thing is I feel like they, because she was catfishing Libby. That was admitted by her and Becky both. And what struck me about when the documentary that just came out is her friend Max mentions she was asking me for help because there was a guy bugging her.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard that before, that's why Kelsey started the catfish account, to find out who was bugging Libby. But then I started thinking maybe it was just Kelsey bugging Libby, just messing with her. But I kind of can't help but think sometimes that what her catfish account did kind of put Libby in the position that she's got put in, which now that's the cover up, because they're afraid that Kelsey's going to go down for it. And so everyone's covering up for Kelsey trying to play pranks on her sister that went too far.
Yeah. I mean, and
that's probably that's probably what I think. Like, I mean, that's one of my bigger theories that I think could be, but I don't know.
I mean, I don't either, but to me, I've got 3 kids. I could see them doing, like, kids are sisters, brothers, whatever. They're going to do stuff.
Yeah.
And, you never think it's going to end up like that. That's not the plan. You're messing with your sibling. Like, look, they do it. There's nothing wrong. I mean, it's wrong, but they're going to do what they're going to do. They're kids.
Yeah. Professor asked what we thought about Cody. My thing about Cody is I want to know why it is after the murders, Kelsey insisted on him moving out of the house. And is a true statement. It came from, I think, Marvin, I forget her name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
But why did Kelsey Olsen want him to move out of the house? And you know what I mean? When they were crossing the bridge together, they were all dandy. And then all of a sudden he had to move out because Kelsey wanted him to, which is weird to me.
Yeah. And, another thing that makes me think either possibly they weren't at the bridge at that time, or there were more people involved. It was a group effort, is because, like, several people have said there were people under the bridge. You can't be under that bridge and somebody taking somebody by gunpoint. It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
That's
too
true.
Many people.
And during and then them not finding him during the search, but then all of a sudden finding him the next day, they weren't in the ravine the next day, And
right.
You could see through those trees. It's not like how some of the videos make it so it seemed like it's so thick, and you could see down there clear as day. It's just like open. It has trees, but it's open, especially in February. So for them not to find the bodies during the search the first day, and then for them not to find the clothes, like they didn't find the bodies, but they would have at least seen some clothes floating in the water during that search.
Exactly.
So that's Now I'm going to get all back into that again. Why something they would have seen something, and maybe the clothes were just hooked up on the branches that we think the girls were on, because I think they were on, like, kind of flopped over a log, in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how you said you were out looking and you saw the one that was floating in the water. I think Libby was actually like on it, like stomach down first, and maybe her legs and her hands were in the water, maybe her face. I don't know, and I think that's where the blood loss was too. I think even if you look at the video, you can see the darker areas in the water. And I think that's what when they say blood loss, and Ron Logan said, no, it was a totally clean area. That's because the blood loss was in the water. You could see it in the water.
Yeah. I mean, it's I wish that there was a very clear video of that, but I think that's on purpose that, there's not.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely there's a lot of things that point to the water, as well as, I mean, I think one of the videos I did not too long ago was an interview where, was it Holman? I can't remember. No, it wasn't Holman. Who was it? Anyway, one of the police peoples.
Yeah.
We're saying that the bodies were found in the water. Tobe's sitting right there, and he doesn't correct him. And he's like, no, because he did correct him just prior to that when he said Sugar Creek, and Tobe's like, no, Deer Creek. But yet when he says the bodies were found on the edge of the water, Tobe doesn't say a word.
Yeah, and what else would they need rope for? What do they need? Well, why would they need rope to rope?
Yeah.
Tobe, it's so funny because you see Tobe talking in an interview, and he's like a little just a little scared little thing. You know what I mean? He comes across, but then when he's after the Allen arrest, he's like, yeah. All of a sudden he's like, You know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to come up with somebody who did the speech. I'm like trying to think of the Martin Luther King. All of a sudden he's like talking like, we've got somebody arrested. You know what I mean? When it was like, before he was always like all weirded out kind of talking and stuff. So I'm like, it was about power to him. Something. After my whole attitude, I mean, I always kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt, but after how he just said that about Carrie, like, about Carrie's past, I'm like, they totally passed judgment. If they're passing judgment, if you're a bad person, then you might be the killer. If you're not, then you're free to go. You know what I mean? That's how I think. I don't know. Yeah. Because he doesn't have the best past either, and neither does his family.
Right. I'm like, why are you going to throw stones? You know what they say about people in glass houses? Come on.
Everybody's got one of those in their family.
Absolutely. Everybody's got skeletons in the closet. I mean, just don't judge. Just don't judge. I mean, But I think my favorite part of Tobe is just watching his face, turn red.
He turns red. And so does if you ever like pay attention to Liggett and whenever they do the press conferences and stuff, he gets real sweaty, but his eyes get really weird. He starts looking at out of the corner of his eyes at everybody. Go watch some of those press conferences with Liggett and just watch his eyes. And it's like, why his eyes are so weird. How he does. I mean, just like he's always trying to read the notes, and I don't know. He's shady to me. That whole thing he's shady to me.
Oh, that whole election was the shadiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, you would think, because he had a business that he started that he couldn't even run. Why would they think that he could run the town? You know what I mean? There's so many things. And I've talked, there's some details about that I just have learned that I make it even that much more shady that I really can't talk about just yet.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. Yeah. We don't want to, but with him, I didn't know about that past stuff. It's just, I heard, where did I hear this? Somebody, it might have been on Meow Zedong's live. Somebody was talking about, was it Thomas? That said, they were there at the sheriff's office, didn't realize that Tobe was still working there. I thought he retired, but no, I had heard that right before I heard that interview. Somebody else had said somewhere that he is still there working in the office, just in a diminished role.
I think I heard something like that too.
And I'm like, what? I can tell you how it works with our sheriffs, all right? In our county, the old sheriff going out, a lot of his crew, most of his crew, his cronies are definitely going out with him. The new sheriff is always going to bring in a whole new crew of people that he feels are loyal to him. And, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs just because of the change in command.
See, well, then that was like that was a big part of the election, is to make sure that everyone stayed in place. And why do they want everyone to stay in place so bad?
Right. And they don't want an outside agency in there.
Right. And do you remember in the election, they're like, so if you needed to, would you bring somebody else in to help with the case? And he's like, yeah, whatever. But then again, he says he was the only detective working on the case. It's like this huge case, and Liggett, the laziest one, was the only one working on it. And they're not going to call anybody else in to help him out. You know what I mean? That to me, it's just like, why? What are you?
Well, yeah. And if you look at some of the meetings, the debates and stuff that they had online, and you can see some of the other players, Mike Thomas being one, and then I can't remember his name, the other guy that was running against Liggett. It's like you hear people in the crowd, and they're asking questions, and you can hear a lot of people are supportive of bringing in, different agencies, somebody fresh eyes, somebody who really is trained for this kind of situation. And, Liggett is always saying, no, we can
I'm a good old
this.
boy. No, I'm not a good old boy. I'm a good old boy. No, I'm not a good old boy.
Exactly.
I would have never voted for him. Never. And I don't even know that. Yeah. I mean, he said it up there, and he just, I mean, that was a lie right there. He said it like 2 minutes later. It's like, you just said you were a good old boy.
Yeah. Well, that town council meeting that was right before that, they're basically the election hasn't happened. The town council is saying, well, when Lee gets to the sheriff, and they're like, huh?
Oh,
what happened to democracy?
That's another person that I did see, and he's in the picture, I think, with the one with I was trying to figure out who with Nick McClelland in the Freemason picture, and then the judge, and then that one larger guy. He is on the board.
Oh.
So it is a big circle. They got a judge, they got the prosecutor, and they got someone on the board. All that are Freemasons. There's pictures of them.
Yeah, I mean, and here in this area, we have a lot of Freemasons. Lots. A lot of law enforcement here are Freemasons, as well as pastors and all kind of people. And I caught a lot of flack with my Freemasonry videos. People saying, "Well, my grandfather was a Freemason, and he was a good man." I'm sure he was. Okay, I'm not saying, and I never will say that every Freemason is bad, but it is a bad principle to have to take an oath to keep secrets. Period. Now, and maybe they were never in that situation. It's what?
And just the whole secretive thing about it is just weird. And it's like, you do not tell, you do not tell, you do not tell. It's like, why? I mean, I can understand not telling about your little secret club inside, but I mean, if something happens outside of the club and it's something that should be told, you know what I mean? They shouldn't be held down to you don't tell on your brothers.
Right. I mean, so that's the thing. You've got these people that are not going to tell, and
then the governor who's putting people in jail who will have some shady business, and then the FBI protecting the CSAM, and you have just the whole. There's nowhere you can go to if you need someone in a situation that you feel like
Well, see, that's the same as, and I know this happened in, I believe, the 70s, as Boys on the Tracks. It was a whole drug ring. They were having airplane drops, and it involved law enforcement, and involved attorneys. It involved higher up government officials. It went to the state, and it went to the governor, who was Bill Clinton at the time. Oh, there's a shocker.
Yeah, he probably just made it worse.
My goodness. Yeah, so then right after that, it's not too long after that, Clinton goes to Washington, and none of these people in all these years were ever prosecuted, even though, and like 9 witnesses get unalived in 1 year.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me that's not, that's coincidental?
Is that the what is it? There's this one thing that happened, but it was more of a CSAM thing, and a lot of people ended up dead from that too, but it had a name. That was something, I can't remember what it was, but just out of Florida. I can't remember. But,
yeah.
But it was a big thing like that too, where a lot of people ended up dead.
Right. And I mean, that's the way. So you're talking about the 70s. They've perfected things now.
Yeah.
So it went all the way to Washington, basically. So how was it, even though there is ridiculous amounts of evidence that in that case, who did it?
Well, look at Hunter Biden. I mean, there's so much on him, and he's just getting away with everything. Everything gets swept under the rug, and he's the biggest scuzzball there is,
Oh yeah, but if I run a red light, I'm going to get a ticket.
Yeah.
You're prosecuted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's who you know. So yeah,
and it's out there. So
right, and if we're talking about crimes that, or a syndicate, let's just call it a crime syndicate. You got to have more than one. Any good business person is going to tell you need more than one stream of income. So let's have some trafficking of substances. Let's have some CSAM. Let's have some video films. Let's have, money laundering. I mean, you have a whole racket there.
Right.
And who's going to stop it if it goes up as high? If it goes to the governor, it probably goes past that. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
So who's going to stop it?
Sorry, I'm plugging in my thing. I'm running out of battery. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. I know we have gone way over time, and I'm going to make
Half of
sure
it was malfunction.
y'all have had y'all. We have had such a lot of good comments. Um, for some reason, mine aren't loading. Like I have to really go down here, so I'm looking at the same ones over and over.
Professor keeps reminding us, allegedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly,
All
yes.
is allegedly, yes.
Everything we
Except
say
for the
is
Hunter Biden thing.
allegedly.
Nothing's true. He's a scuzzball.
Yes,
That's the only truth I'm saying. Yeah.
absolutely. Allegedly.
Allegedly. But yeah, with the Delphi case, there's so many different the tentacles. Yeah. And it's just like, and they told us there's going to be so many, there's a twist. There's something, a twist, which with Alan is like, where's the twist? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. And even the law enforcement has changed their thing. Like, why would they totally remove? I don't know. I mean, I don't think that Keegan had anything to do with it. Not saying that someone that he is tied to didn't, but I don't think he's probably too dumb to even. I mean, I don't know. The river search, I don't know. I think that a lot of stuff is getting put out, like the murder sheet. Everyone that was like so gung ho, it's Keegan, it's King now. All of a sudden, it's Alan. But it's like they do that with everybody,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
I thought for sure it was Keegan Klein. Everyone was so sure. We were getting attacked big time. Some of us creators, because we weren't going with the Keegan Klein thing, and then all of a sudden now it's just like, oh, it's not really him. It's Alan, but somehow they're tied together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard. There's so many. That's the thing. There's so many. I just want to say bad people doing bad things that it could be literally anybody.
Yeah, and they didn't send Alan to Westville for nothing. They sent him there because they don't want to take it to trial. So if something happens to him there, there's never going to be justice. There won't be because, And why hasn't he been moved? I think everybody should start calling Liggett every single day. Why hasn't he been moved? Why hasn't he been moved? Just start blowing him up, because why hasn't he been moved yet?
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I did a video on that basic conditions. That's across the board, but I did not know how bad Westville was.
Yeah,
and
the players
it seems
in it.
like right. And if that is the case.
When they put in that new commissioner, everyone couldn't believe that Holcomb even put him in there because he had a crazy history on his own, So people are like, why would he put him in there, But he did.
Well, there's only one reason, just exactly what you said. They don't want him to make it to trial.
They want to keep their little group of people tight knit. The sheriffs, everyone, they're in this tight. It's working for them right now, but
right.
Yeah.
So, wow. I know Justice is saying we have gone a long time. She needs to take a break. There was one thing I was going to ask you. I thought of it just before we ended. I know let's see.
And even going back to the Florida thing for a second, just like for Yoder to have to get in his car and run back to the police station and tell them to hurry up and get the gear, there's something seriously wrong with that. It's like someone needs to put they need some authority in there in that the sheriff's office and in the fire department in Florida. Why was he going back and telling them to get somebody over there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, watching the day. I get so upset about Florida. That's why I don't do as many Florida videos. I just really lose my cool with Florida.
I know. If I dive into that one, I'm going to be like, yeah.
Yeah. And you watch the dash cam and you start reading all of the reports and stuff. It's like I get so angry. I get beyond angry at that one, and I really can't hold back.
Because they could have saved those girls. They could have went in there and saved those girls when they first got there. Those ones that were just standing outside, the ones who broke the window. I don't know. That to me, there should have been consequences for everybody there on that. Them, all of them. But there's not. There's never consequences for any of them. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy right now.
That's okay. That's okay. I wish I could think of what I was going to say right at the end. It seemed like it was so important to go over, but Yeah, I think the best thing that we can do as creators, especially for Flora. I mean, look, Delphi. None of us are giving up on Delphi. Flora, like it needs so much attention, and I don't know how many groups or what you're in, Misbehave, but like there's been a lot of hate the last couple of weeks for
No, that's
creators.
how Delphi was. Delphi got so bad for a little while. And I kind of skated through it because I just had to stay away from the comments. I had to stay away from the live, just to get through that whole. I
Yeah,
can't. It brings out the ugliest people, just mean, ugly people. It's like, where do they come from? Like, just everyone's allowed their opinion. You can say what you think, and I can say what I
right,
think, and you're not right, and I'm not right because none of us know until we know. We're all wrong, really, basically, until we
right,
know.
right.
So yeah, but no, I
But
don't get in those groups and stuff because of that reason. You see, I think you were my first person on my Facebook. I had just barely started it, and I still haven't really promoted it too much. But yeah, I don't get into all the groups and stuff. I don't even go on Reddit. I can't stand Reddit. I think it's their little Delphi list is ridiculous because it's pick and choose.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But this week there was, I think, I'm sure it was Meow Zedong that said last week was Flora week, and so many creators made videos, went live, whatever, with educating people about Flora, and that it got so much attention and it did so much good, and so many people that didn't know about Flora found out.
No.
And I thought that is a beautiful thing. Why can't creators support each other? We don't have to agree, but we
Attack
don't have
each
to hate each
other.
other.
Yeah.
Right. There is, if Flora Week did nothing else, which it did a lot, but it showed, if you're looking, it showed you the power that creators have banding together and talking about the same thing. You're putting pressure. And, I think no matter what side you're on, if your goal is justice for Abby and Libby and to expose and to force something to happen, public outcry, whatever, we're not going to do it fighting. We're just
Right.
not.
Right.
So you're defeating your own purpose, unless of course your only purpose is to get paid. Then I mean, you do you. I ain't watching it.
I mean, who's really making that much money off? You know what I mean? Anyways, so it's like, I mean, besides, there's one certain individual that like disagrees with everybody because he's right, but I'm not going to say who it is. But yeah, besides him, he's the only one I see raking in the money. But
yeah, I mean, and I don't, if I don't have any problem with people, if they want to.
It takes work. It takes work. So a little bit of a paycheck. I mean, it takes a lot. I mean, it takes all of any time away from anything else that I'm doing this,
Yeah.
And it's always in my head, you know how many nights I stay up in my head, just like, because I can't get it out of my head. But so it's like, it's not like they don't deserve a little paycheck because that's what YouTube does. It's like, but it's when they start getting the donations and the asking for it. I don't like that. I would never ask for money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not
I wouldn't even do it
comfortable with
for
that.
a cause because you never really know where it goes to, June's
Yeah.
Hospital. That's like the only one I would ever probably donate to, but yeah.
Well, I mean, some people have asked me. I don't have anything set up except I think I finally made a Buy Me a Coffee account, and I never even give the link. So,
But yeah, if you have it on there, I mean, I have like tip, whatever on my videos and stuff, and if people do, it's greatly appreciated. But it's not like, and I do have a thing for all mine, which I haven't. Is once I started doing live, I was gonna kind of go into it more, but I don't. It's not like I would ever like ask for it or be like, "Here's my PayPal link" or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
well, here's the
just
problem.
Me, and to each their own. Everyone can do their own thing. Some people do this for their job, every day. So, to each their own. But if I do it enough, I'm sure. I mean, people can make a lot of money on YouTube. But
well, yeah.
I don't know. I haven't got there.
No, me either. And that's fine. The only problem that I have with creators and money is if you are well paid, the chances are Oh my gosh, my cat's going nuts. The chances are you are going to be swayed by whatever narrative your people, the money, wants to put you in. I'm not about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Like I think you and I, because you'll bring out a video and stuff. I'm like, I was just researching that. Like, I think you and I think
Yes.
a lot alike, and we were like just digging into kind of the same stuff, because it seems like I put a video out, but you hadn't seen it, I think, because you did a video on it or something like that, and then I don't know, something like that. You're talking about something. I'm like, oh, I did a video on that, but it's like we even look at the same sources, I think, and did a lot of stuff. But
yeah, I do
because
too.
we're just looking at everything, any possibility.
Right. And I think too, people might think, creators don't necessarily, copy each other. Sometimes you get inspiration for something to research, but it takes me so long by the time I shoot a video, edit it, upload it, and with my work schedule, it's like I shot that video a long time ago. And then somebody else comes out with a video and I'm like, dang. That's exactly what
I know. And you have yours, like, it's all ready to go. I know. I do that too. And I really don't watch any. I watch yours, and I don't really watch any other. I watch yours and True Crime Designs, and I have been starting to watch the Meow one and R&M, and like those are the only ones that I watch. And I don't even watch their every video. I just will pop in one every once in a while. I've seen all yours, but I just pop in them because I don't know. I don't want someone else's to sway my train of thought,
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I always likes my train of thought, but it's just me. And I have so much, my head is like so full, but I just can't put it out right. I don't know how to organize my thoughts to put it out, if that makes sense. If I would go live and do it, it'd probably be even more of a disaster, but I'd probably get more information out. But everyone would be like, what are you talking about? Like, ADHD, ADA, something like that.
Yeah.
I got like everything twice.
That's me. And that's
Yeah, I think we are a lot alike like that, but yeah. So everyone's like, "Oh, you spelled something wrong," or your grammar, and I'm like, you know what? By the time I finally get it down, because I don't ever like pre-write it. I just, as I type it, is when it's coming out of my head. So by the time I get it all done, I'm like, oh, I don't want to go back and edit that out, that one piece, because it's a bigger deal to go edit it back out. So it's not like I don't realize when I have a mistake. I just sometimes just don't fix them. So, but I should, but I don't.
I know. Well, that's me too, and that's the beauty of a video versus live like this. Is I say all kind of crazy crap, and I can edit it out.
Yeah.
Or how many times do I sit there and really fudge up a word and like?
I've done that quite a bit of times.
That comes out of the video.
Yeah.
So
I do that all the time too. I get fumbled over my words.
Yeah. So it makes it worse. All right, let's see. Creators can't get along because some of them want you to think what they tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, they want you to follow their narrative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly. Or they don't want you to attack the family, when really, I mean, I'm not saying the family's guilty of anything, but it's a possibility, and they have not been ruled out. And
right.
Most times it is someone family or someone close to. So
yeah,
when people sit there and go, oh, attacking the family. Well, why should we not look at them? I mean, like Carrie said, she hasn't even been interviewed. They've never come and talked to her. Like, what if it was her? Just, I know it's not, and I'm not saying, you know what I mean? But what if it was her? They never even went and talked to her. They don't want to talk to her, you know what I mean? So it's like, who else didn't they want to talk to, And like Cody starting GoFundMe like the day that she died is kind of weird. And the money was hit for him, and he raised like almost $10,000. But the day of, he had that GoFundMe up. Why? So you don't want to grieve about it first, or think it through, or So I don't know about him. I don't know, but I mean, I know they're all troubled, but there's just so many tentacles.
Definitely things that make you wonder. I'll just say that it don't make sense. Shady. There's a lot of shady stuff.
And that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that even that ride the fundraiser for the ride. What was it like the next day or 2 days later? It's like you're already, I mean, and it was a good turnout, so good, good. But it's like you think they would just want a couple weeks to themselves, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just turned into money like that.
The one thing that I think bothers me the most is the interview with Kelsey where
Sorry, my dog.
I can't remember which one it was, but she's basically saying, if it's who we think it is, no, I'm not afraid. No, I'm not scared.
Yeah. And you know what? And another thing is, in a Renner video, she said it, and it got taken down and edited and put back up. But she said it probably about 10 times. Well, now that I know he's my age, now that I know he's my age, now that I know the killer's my age, she said it like 10 times. And I wish I would have screen recorded it. But then, and now it's cut out. They cut it, the video's still up, but they cut that part out. And I'm like, she said it so many times. I didn't misunderstand. I didn't mishear. She said, now that I know he's my age, I'm looking at everybody at school and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, why did they take that out? Or where did she get that? I mean, Kelsey could be wrong. She's wrong in a lot of stuff, but that to me has always stuck with me. And I've searched everywhere for that video, the uncut one,
Yeah, I've never heard that before. That's a first for me.
Yeah, no, it was definitely on the video. Definitely, she said it like multiple times. I think it was on the one where she said, "Have you seen the shack?" I think it was in that one. If not, two of it. Sorry, my dog. She's looking out the window. The neighbors come and she barks at them. Yeah.
But that's like, from the very beginning, they're like, they asked Ellie, is it safe? Should we be worried about our kids? And they're like, no. How are you not going to be worried when you've got an unsolved murder?
Yeah.
What the crap?
And you don't know who it is. So why they just jump to it being like, no, you're safe. It's you should always look out for your children. It's like,
see, that one thing there tells me that they know who it is. Or they have at least a very good idea of the people involved.
But then now with Alan being arrested, does that make you think, oh, is that what they were really saying there? Oh, you don't have to be worried about him. He's just going to kill one time. Or do you think because it was more of a big, more gang group, or like you said, to where they only know that was one threat that one time because you're going to listen from now on, or this is going to happen to you. Kind of like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's wait, let's see. True crime news. I'm sorry. We'll read this. Ellie told me and Michael Catt at the first year presser that the suspect had never committed a crime before, meaning he had never been arrested. That was big news on who to look out, excuse me, for the good guy. Well, now, if that is true, then, obviously Richard Allen was not,
That's true. That's true.
A lot of people think that he was involved, not the actual perpetrator, but that he was involved. And, I go, like I've said in my videos, I go back and forth all the time.
Right.
Sometimes I think, it's possible he could have been. And then I look at it and I'm like, I don't see it.
Or you think it's possible, like he could have been set up to be there and then somehow got involved on not intentionally on his part. You know what I mean? He kind of got sucked into something he didn't realize he was getting sucked into.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Did he think he was doing something else and it wasn't nefarious? Like, what if he, was whatever?
Did you see that? So you saw the Cop Facts video? Did you see that video of him saying that he actually took that photo to somebody and they said it is photoshopped to the one of Abby?
Yes.
Yeah. And I've done some research on photoshopping and stuff like that too. And they do say, like, when a picture is photoshopped or has a filter on it, you can see through the image of the side that's photoshopped. You know what I mean? And even if you go on Bridge Guys and you could change all the filters you want on it, you're going to see through the one side of him and not the other side. And if you remember, they always said the reason why the Bridge Guy is like he is on the bridge, they say, because he was only in part of the frame. So what does that mean when they say that? He was only in part of the frame. Does that mean they only got half of him in the frame, or he was to one side or the other? What do they mean by that? Because I'm
I
wondering
don't
if they
know.
mocked his side and made the other side, because I mean, what, like, I don't understand what they mean by that. They said he was only in part of the frame. Does anyone else know?
I don't know, but then there's been recent. I've seen a picture from it was some kind of something journal. It's a paper in Indiana, I believe, that talks about that picture being from a trail cam, and then I saw a video
And there was a
sometime
trail cam.
last.
They did get stuff off of a trail cam,
Yeah.
according to Holman. But so it's like in the time, first it was 1, then it was 1:30, then it was 1:49, and Becky's like, yes, this is the phone records. This is what it was, whether her boyfriend called her or she called him, which was never clear. But they can never say when Libby called Derek. There's no phone record for them. Becky's not saying, oh. So in reality, we don't really know when it even started, because even in the Snapchat being out there, it wouldn't have uploaded right away anyways. So, and whenever the person screenshot it, and I know someone's out there saying, oh, this is where it initially came from. It could initially very easily, yes, Erica could have screenshot it and it could have come from Erica, but we don't really know who put it on to Snapchat. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it doesn't say where it actually originated at, but the whole timeline is like, we don't even really know, because I mean, it's changed. It's changed. So it just makes it all.
Yeah, that's it's those kind of things that make it sound like a story.
Especially
With
when they
bad
come out and say,
actors.
no, our phone records say this. Let's show the phone records then. Let's see when she called Derek. Show, don't do it half butt. So when Derek called, she called Derek too. I'm just wondering if maybe, maybe they said, because I remember seeing this a long time ago, and then I did on that chat GPT or whatever it's called, GT, and there are articles out there, and they have been redacted, but they're out there, and I could give you the titles of them, but I don't know if they're going to still be out there, but the names of where they're from. But that Becky did say that she did know that Libby was going to meet somebody out there, a friend. Why would she think anything different than, yeah, her friends are there, they're going to meet. I mean,
Right.
Bree Wilbur was there. Like, she could have been meeting Bree for that matter. But, and it's just funny on the PCA how they say when Kelsey left 1:49, but they don't say when she arrived.
Right.
They say when everyone else came and gone, but Kelsey and Alan are the only ones that have only a one-way trip there or away. So, yeah. And she watched them until they got down to the trail. So she wasn't there. She was there for a minute or two.
Yeah, and then there was 10, 20 people out there, or 20, however, there was a bunch, and then
she saw the truck with the decals, and then she didn't see the truck with the decals, and then she sees it again. And I don't know if you've ever looked into that guy. There's a guy out there that actually killed his girlfriend, and he has a black truck with decals, and he's a major obsessed with guns, and he was actually seen in the area that morning. Have you looked into him? His name's Jerem Weiss.
Somebody gave me, somebody brought that name up to me, but it's been a while. But I really couldn't. It was like one of those things. I couldn't get enough information, I guess, to.
The information's out there. I could send you a couple of videos, but for me, as much as it seems probably, but I'm like, that's just nothing. That would have been an easy arrest. I mean, there would have been, but then again, we're talking about a sheriff's department that has one guy doing on a case. That I saw a video and I screenshotted it. I think somewhere recorded it, but it was a guy driving around Delphi, and he's like, here we are at the command center, where they do the investigation. And he's like, and there's nobody here, and it was like, where are they all at? So they're not working on the case, and nobody was there. But so I'm like thinking, how much did they really put into trying to catch this guy?
Yeah.
When the FBI was there, then they acted busy, or.
I have to say not a lot, and then they don't want anybody else investigating it either. So yeah, I think they know. I'm still out on whether Doug Carter is a good guy or a bad guy. There are things that make me hope and want to believe him, and then There are some other incidents that make me, especially in the past, and things that make me think, yeah, he's as crooked as everybody else. I
I
hope
think
not.
I think he's a car salesman. Is what I think. I think he would make a good car salesman.
Yes, he
Some
would,
of
and
them.
I wanna believe him, but I don't believe anybody in this case really. So there's
And you know,
that.
in all of out of all the, I don't think Richard Allen's voice sounds like Bridge Guy's voice, but you know who
No.
does? Is the who's the spokesperson? What's his name? I'm having a blank. Starts with a B. Bernstein. If you watch him, he's like, now listen to the video. When he's announcing the video, you're listening to him, and then the video, and you're like, what the heck? He sounds just like Bridge Guy. He does. It's like he sounds
Yeah.
more like him than anybody to me.
Yeah, there have been, several people. Okay, they're saying Jerome Weiss. Okay, Jerome is Pat Brown's. This is according to Fritz. Jerome is Pat Brown's nephew.
Really?
Okay, I
Wait,
didn't know that.
Oh, really?
He
So
shot
that would be
Cat
why he
Cole.
was in the
Oh,
area.
whoa! Wait a second. He
Whoa.
shot Cat Cole. Do you see this? Miss
Yeah,
Bonnie?
he shot his girlfriend. He shot her and killed her, and the thing about that is he killed his girlfriend, and then Carter gave him his gun license the day
Yes.
after he shot her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw
so that's
that.
Pat Brown's nephew, really. That makes it more curious since Pat Brown was there.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. That is
And
interesting.
he was seen leaving the area, and they didn't know who he was, but they identified his truck. And they said that whoever it was in the truck was driving, and he had his face covered. And it was like 4 in the morning. It was like super early in the morning, the day after the murders. You know what I mean? Like before they found the bodies. And they said that he was driving away and he had his face covered, but then they identified his truck later and said, that's the truck. And it was Jerome's. So if he really is Pat Brown's nephew, that's very curious. And he's obsessed with guns. Like if you go look on Zav Girl, she's got a good video on him, and so does True Crime Jesus. But look it up and just watch. It has all the information you need on there. Both of them.
I don't remember him, but you know what? I've seen so many, and then a lot of true crime designs I watched, which I still watch all the videos, but a lot of that stuff that I watched so early in the beginning when I was falling down the rabbit hole, I think it's like filed in a shelf up in my head, and
It comes out later. You're like, oh yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like what?
Then you're like, dang it, I gotta go back down that one again. Someone just that just happened to me right now. Something just came. Oh, it was the whole Kelsey wanting Cody to leave the house after the murder, which I just would like to know why, because that's weird to me.
That is, to me, it's sus, and
and she hasn't learned if she went to work or not that day. And I think that's another thing is when she was catfishing Libby. That's why she got on the counts. She got on the counts and deleted all her own stuff. Her catfishing, she deleted, whether it be just innocent or not. That's why she went on there. But they should have never had access to that phone after the murders. And they did. They all got it. Even one of the friends got on it. You know what I mean? It's like, so that phone cannot be used as any kind of evidence now, because there's been, that we know of, 3 different people on it through their own phones or whatever, through a third party or whatever, while it was in evidence. So, I mean, that they could never use that phone in evidence. I mean, like in a court,
Oh no, there's so much stuff that yeah.
And everyone's like the bullet. Who had access to his gun? No one had to have access to his gun. They did a search warrant. They went in and got the gun, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, here's the bullet." No one's going to ever be able to say no, that wasn't out of the scene.
Right.
Yeah.
How are they going to prove that? Plus, a Sig Sauer is a law enforcement weapon, so
And we've never heard about it. The one gun that they were looking for was an older type model gun, and they said it was like a 10 gauge. That's the only gun they were looking for, besides some kind of weird army knife and stuff. So that came out. And I do think that I think he arrested Allen because Thomas did that lawsuit, and then he was saying it's probably never going to be solved. And so Liggett's like, oh yeah, I'm a good old boy, I'm going to show you. And he went and got that guy because he recalled him being out at the bridge that day. And I think them arresting Allen was totally a Liggett scheme for the election.
That's and opinion. I mean, well, mine is that, yeah, you have to pull a rabbit out of your hat when you want to win an election. So,
Yeah.
I mean, by all
Especially when you
means,
have no experience whatsoever.
well, yeah. And it's like, we've got so many people, so much contention here. You know how I'm going to win this election? I'm going to pull the rabbit out of my hat. I'm going to become the hero of the day. Of course, I'm going to get elected. I just caught this big, perpetrator. Well, here's the thing. For people who believe that Richard Allen is guilty,
Which is
what if?
everyone that thinks that Keegan was guilty.
Yeah, I mean, but let's just say, okay, he's guilty. But what if they knew this? Like, what if he's part of the big network of people,
Right.
and he's like it's like, okay, we got to do something. We've got to give the public somebody. I've got to get elected, or else, because if I don't get elected again and somebody else comes in here, you're all going to jail. Okay?
Yeah,
We've
either you're all
had
going
our
to
hands in the pie.
you're all going to jail, or it's going to break our whatever we have going on is going to break that system or something. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, was he a lesser player and they rolled, they just sacrificed him? Or was he not involved at all? Either
Right.
way, it's like, hey, this guy said he's there. Like, we know he doesn't, like, he's pretty normal guy, but hey, we can put it on him.
The only way I could think that maybe he would possibly have been involved, because he didn't seem like he was a big social media. I don't think that if he did it, he would be more pissed at his wife, like, stop videoing me, stop. You think that he would kind of try to shut it down a little bit on the videos, because she was a little obsessive at secretly videoing him all the time, But I think if he was involved, it would have been somehow for some kind of a payout, since he did work at CVS and he did do the photos. Maybe if they were doing a snuff film or something, or photos, they were having him develop it so no one else would see. That's the only way I could think that they could get him actually on prints without it being traced to anything but CVS, which he might have known how to clear that out. That's the only way I think that he would possibly have been involved, is if it was for photo, for some, because you can't even take your photos down and have them developed. They're going to see them regardless. So, but if he's able to do it, that's what I was thinking. But then you can do it at your house too.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. But I thought too about, the one video that they talked about, trucks crossing the border every, what did they say, every 15, 20 seconds?
Yeah.
If you got something, what if you had a CVS truck? Good way to get it in.
That's true. That'd be a good way to disguise it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can sit here and theorize that he's guilty or not guilty, but I think it comes down to the strongest evidence they have, which is, so far, I haven't seen a whole lot that's impressive. And, if he's guilty, I hope they do get him. But I can 100%, I believe that there are a lot of people involved in this. And I want them all to go down. All of them.
Yeah. Well, I either think they could be a lot of people involved or not. And it's either a lot of people or just one. That's what I think. I mean, it's like, I don't know. But I think regardless, I don't think law enforcement know what the hell they're doing on this case. Delphi, I think they're just kind of like, I don't know. And maybe they think that if something gets brought out in this case, then maybe it might expose some corrupt in Florida, just the same group of people. I mean, if there's corruption, I don't believe it's just all only in Delphi. I think they are tied together with the Florida ones. I mean, if there's corruption like that, it has to be like bigger, more people involved in the same area, kind of, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. I know. That's one of the ones you just keep falling down the rabbit hole, but
I don't know if we're ever going to know, though. If they don't get him out of there, I don't think we're going to ever find out. Ever.
I guess that's what scares me, is that if something does happen to prevent him from going to trial, they're going to say, we got the guy and case closed.
Yeah, that's what they want. I think that's what they want. That's why I think everyone should start calling Sirius down to Liggett and just be like, why is he still there? Why, just harassing the crap out of him. And he's going to regardless, he's done. He's done. He could never even get out and have a normal life ever again. He's ruined.
Right.
And if he did it, I mean, he's done. If he didn't do it, he's still done. I mean, no matter what.
Right.
I don't think he's going to make it out of it. I think that his death wish has been granted pretty much. And it's sad because then we'll never even know if he really didn't have anything to do with it. And you watch those shows, there's so many people that go to prison for years and years and years, and then they get exonerated. It's like, there you go, see ya, sorry. You know what I mean? And they have to go back and actually sue to get any kind of, for their whole life was taken from, just from being black or being, whatever it is that they're reasoning that they got taken in. That's the only reason, and sometimes they don't even have evidence, and sometimes they fake the evidence. And I don't see how those people can live with themselves that do that, put someone behind bars. But we'll have to ask you that too when we call them up. Allegedly.
Allegedly. That's the thing. There's a lot of corruption, and I can't remember what case it was that one of the pathologists, and maybe it's just a video I was gonna do, but he had literally done, or in the lab, literally faked so many results. Like, he wasn't even doing the test. He was just like, okay, what do they think it is? Okay, this is it. Right. And so hundreds of people put in jail, and some of them still can't get that evidence overturned. Some of them have, but a lot of them haven't. And
because they just want to solve it, and they're too lazy to want to really find out the issue, and then they just do it because like how Toba is just passing judgment on whoever they think, and they're just like, that's that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Well, he definitely has to get to court before we find out the truth. But again, I hope that as people come out, and I think I've noticed with some of the creators who have been doing this for, a hot minute, much longer than I have, a lot of things that they've said in the past couple of years got a lot of flack, really shut down. But it seems like lately, the more creators that are talking about the same thing, such as that Photoshop picture, the more that we're talking, the more people are being legitimized. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I said that 2 years ago, and you said I was crazy, and but
and the
now
picture, it's so hard. I mean, for me, I had put out a video about the picture, and I'm like, but I always doubted like maybe I'm wrong. People probably think I'm crazy, but once Cop Facts came out, and then to me that totally confirmed it to me, because he's been a pretty reliable source. He's pretty legit. He's got a amazing history, and he's got experience, and he's got a reputation, and for him to come out and finally say it, it's just like, and that's a huge thing for him, because he could get a lot of slack for it,
right.
So for me, I'm like, so that just opens up a whole new thing. Like, why was there a fake photo? Why did someone tamper with a photo, you know what I mean, that was put out like being the last photo of somebody before they died? That's probably, that makes it think there's something much bigger.
Yeah. There's too much convoluted evidence, I guess. And then
and just like the whole, even if there's someone on the bridge and under the bridge, I mean, you could see when you're on the bridge, you could see down under the bridge. I mean, it's just like, I couldn't imagine those girls not screaming, even if they tried not to by accident. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And then you have the whole, the leaked texts, which I believe the leaked texts are true, because Holman kind of said, well, there was some leakages, but besides that, like, he kind of confirmed part of them are true. I don't ever really believe texts and stuff like that, because you don't know where they came from. The screenshot, they don't even look the same. Like, who why are the messages changing colors? And none of them look the same. But, and then you have that Ron Logan search warrant, which totally says opposite of what the text messages say. And it's like, and I can't believe that just because an FBI person put in a warrant because she's a man hater or whatever, and wanted to search Ron's house, I can't say that I confirm that's true just because she did it either,
Yeah.
So Allegedly,
I mean,
she hates him. It does sound like a man hater. Yeah.
allegedly. And yeah, I've seen a lot of videos that people do walking across the bridge and whatnot, but it wasn't until I watched Steve's video and I actually asked him permission to use it, where it's like it was in February. There's no leaves on the trees, and he goes
And
down
you can
to
see the bridge through it.
yeah, and yes, you can. And then when he gets just on off the like on the other side of the bridge and he's walking, like the houses are right there.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're telling me these people, okay, it's Indiana, it's rural. Okay. Everybody rural has a dog. We have dogs for reasons.
Yeah.
And you're telling me these houses didn't have dogs that didn't
Barking.
hear something? They weren't barking. They weren't, having a fit because there's something's going on down the property. I don't buy it. That's crap.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
And on the when they did the helicopter search, remember on the bridge, there's like a guy in red, and everyone's like, oh,
Mhm.
everyone points it up. But it's so weird because in lately researching, I found 2 different photos of them. The guy in the red jacket, he seems to be surfacing a lot. And if you look through a lot of the old photos, like the search, he was actually down with the police on the search. So who was that guy?
Yeah.
Like I always said it was just a photographer, but and that Keener dude. And another thing is that Keener dude, it's weird that he posted the date of the 13th that they had found bodies, on the 14th, but his post was on the 13th, if that makes sense. I'm gonna have to find that again. But he did post on the day that unless he went and changed the dates, because I know on Facebook you can change the dates, but I couldn't imagine that he would go change it. But yeah.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, I did see that, and I think the photo of Bridge Guy with the stripe down his leg and everything, I think that's attributed to Keener also. I don't know if
that he took that photo. He took that photo, and he also, because he worked for the
Mhm.
Tribune. But and if those pants look just exactly like the ones that like Carter wears. They're the
Mhm.
gray pants with the black stripe down the side, and even the little pouch on the side, which now looks more like a pouch, but before it looked more like their little taser gun thing that they carry on
Mhm.
theirs. I don't know.
Here's the thing. I mean, I understand. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, and it has been rumored. It has been rumored for a long time that it was law enforcement, and that's why they're covering it up, because they didn't want to make them look bad. That's how they got
Right. And here's the thing. It maybe it was law enforcement. I mean, that picture seems to suggest it was, but look, yes, does it look bad? Yes, but it doesn't prove if that was any kind of trail cam or anybody. Look, just because you're on the bridge and you're law enforcement doesn't mean you're guilty. It's
Right.
a picture of a person on a bridge. Unless you've got a picture of somebody harming somebody or irrefutable audio evidence, you're law enforcement out there for
Right.
whatever reason. To me, that doesn't prove anything.
And what about on the documentary when she says the witness she said out of her and her friends, she was the only one who looked up and saw the guy, and she said it was between 2 and 2:15. So that doesn't even put Alan on the bridge yet at all. He's still in his car driving past the whatever, the Hoosier Harvest. So, and the entrance that Libby and those guys went in isn't the main entrance off of Freedom Bridge. So what if just say he was out there and they did get a picture of him, and then he started coming back, and that's when the other guy cut in once he passed that Mears entrance, and then went and got the girls like right afterwards. But everyone just only saw the Richard Allen. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it does.
he walked past the Mears, and the other guy cut in and went and killed the girls and was gone. And that was the muddy and bloody guy that the lady saw later, if that was even true.
Yeah,
I don't see how you
that's a
see blood on
story.
black, but
You
I saw
can't.
this guy all wearing black, and he was all bloody. I mean, I don't know how you see that on black, but
You can't. I can tell you. I've worked in a hospital too long. You can't. You cannot
Yeah.
see it. But and that whole story, that muddy bloody witness, she's that was a crazy story.
yeah,
in
she got off because of that. Not off. I
Yeah.
mean, she got off of her sentencing for that.
Right. I couldn't do that video without laughing, and I felt bad. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect you, lady, because I've had my days too. But
Yeah.
it was just crazy. I'm like, oh my God. Uh,
Yeah.
But yeah, and the look, I grew up in the mountains. Okay, well, I grew up in what they call a holler, and I can tell you, voices echo in the woods over water. Water is a conduit. Okay, so how are you going to be screaming and somebody telling you to do, how are you going to unalive somebody in that little dip and nobody is hearing it? If there's all these people on the trails, I'm sorry, you can hear a lot for a long distance.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
and plus nobody saw Abby and Libby out there. And that one witness says she thinks she saw someone look like Abby and Libby, but for all we know, she could have seen the 3 girls, She's the
Or
same
she
person
could
who
have seen
saw
Kelsey.
she's the same person who saw 4 people crossing the bridge, and she didn't see Kelsey pulling out. Exactly. So it's like maybe she just wasn't wearing her glasses that day. I don't know, but
Well, Kelsey and Libby look a lot alike too.
right,
Alike. So,
right.
I mean, if I didn't know them, I'd have to know them. If I didn't know them and I saw Kelsey and, I could mistake, oh, yeah, I saw a girl that looked just like that out there. That had to be them,
Yeah, or even Erica, if she was out there with them, or
Yeah,
out there that day, she looks just like Libby too.
right.
It's that they got that Indiana, they got the Delphi look, the Delphi look.
Yeah.
People
Well,
look
the
like
same
where they're
as
from.
Bridge Guy. Yeah, how many, little portly guys in blue Carhartt or something like it, jackets and blue jeans and hats? I mean, come on.
Everyone's like, he was, yes, because it was his bullet and it was his outfit. I'm like, oh, come on. Every guy in Delphi has a blue
Hmm.
jacket. I could probably bet you that.
Yeah. Now, if he was wearing a polka dotted shirt or something like that, yeah, that'd be different. I mean, like, that's like the code of dress for Indiana and
And,
probably here too.
and he said, and then he said, or maybe black, blue, or maybe black. But yeah, let's hear how Richard actually said it. You know what I mean? You go to a DNR officer, right? And you're like, hey, I
Hmm.
was on the bridge. I just wanted to let you know I was on the bridge. I didn't see anything but these girls, da da da. And for him to go, okay, let me see your phone IME. You know what I mean? To take his phone information right then was weird to me. Like, why would they call him back in for that kind of stuff? And then just to file it away and be done with it. Why did they get the IME off of his phone? That's weird to me. They would have done it right then outside the grocery store.
Right. Well, and I was reading up on the DNR officers. Like they're like police officers. They have the power to arrest people. So if you're in that kind of position, even though you're probably just usually getting poachers and drunk girls on boats or whatever, or in the woods, it's still what protocol is. But I love the way they tried to blame it on the FBI. Well, it was misfiled, and then the FBI a couple days, weeks, whatever later. Hey, it wasn't us.
Yeah, we didn't do
You
it.
know.
And yeah, and like that's another thing is that one prison guy, the Carter one, he was a DNR officer for a while, so that makes me go,
Mm.
And I've
Oh
researched,
wow.
I've gone down the DNR rabbit hole, and it's just I can, there's just no familiar. You're looking for someone familiar, and that was the first time is that when I looked at the Westville, that guy was the only DNR one that I could find that slightly has any kind of, I'm like thinking that maybe he's related to Carter, but haven't found anything of the source yet. But still possible.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just looked at the time like, oh my God, I've been talking forever. Let's say I
I
feel like
know.
we should have had a drink and been on the back porch somewhere.
Well, you're not falling over yet, so I think you're good.
I'm drinking water over here, but I didn't really mean to keep you this long. I just thought, well, there's a lot of stuff, and I appreciate anybody. Look, I can talk to anybody who's got an open mind. Just don't be closed-minded, because I'll listen. I'll listen.
Right.
But
there's because nobody knows.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Until we know.
So,
I have a feeling we're not gonna. I have a feeling we're doing all this and we're never gonna know, and we won't stop. It doesn't. I mean, I would like to hear from his family.
Mm-hmm.
I know we can't. Isn't that amazing that they put a gag order on that? You know what I mean? They don't want anybody talking. They don't want Alan talking. They don't want anybody talking. I'm surprised his lawyers can even talk, you know? They can't talk they can't talk to us, but you know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, you know, I understand the integrity of the case and stuff, but at the same time, it's like, you know, like you said, if something were to happen to Alan and then, you know, they blame it all on him, and then years later somebody confesses, or years later after the fact they find out, oh, it was so and so. Well, you know, look, that happens a lot too. You know, cold cases, and they find out, oh, well, we weren't even looking in this direction. But I'm convinced they know exactly what happened, and
I don't think that he's gonna. I think that that's not going to go to trial. I think something's going to happen to where, you know what I mean? I don't think that I don't think they have anything on him. They don't want him to go to trial. So I don't know how hard his wife is fighting for him, but if that were my husband, I would be putting up some, you know, some serious fight. I'd probably end up there myself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course.
I mean, I know that she supports him.
Right.
And his mother does too, you know. So.
Well, to me, that says a lot. You know, I'm gonna tell you, I don't care how long I've been married to somebody. If I could put together the pieces and I realized, hey, I've been married to, you know, like Ted Bundy's girlfriend. You know, she even started putting together the pieces, and I mean, she checked out, you know, of the relationship. If that was me, I don't care how long I've been with you. If I think that you are capable of and did such a thing,
or ever even questioned it a little bit,
right,
you'd be done, or had any doubt.
I'm not supporting you. Sure. So,
and I don't know
anyway.
I don't know about his daughter, but I know his wife and his mother, and of course the mother's going to support him regardless. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm praying.
Maybe
I'm praying that this goes to trial.
He has a court date in June, right? It's coming up. Yeah. June's coming up, but it'll get pushed back.
Oh yeah.
I don't think his attorney has the whole discovery yet, even.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna drag out. So whew.
Start calling the sheriff's office, people, if you guys want.
Yeah, let's make sure at least. Yes, absolutely.
And you are allowed to. That you are allowed to call him. You're allowed to email him, and you're allowed to ask questions. So do it up.
Yeah.
I'll start calling.
Do it.
Well,
I'm going to let people go. I know Justice has wanted to take a break for a long time. I am so sorry. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed talking to you. It's great.
Me too. And, it's nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, you too. So yeah, I would love to have look, I think women on panel and women creators are great. Look, men too. But it's I think it's a little bit harder for us sometimes. But yeah. Is there anything else that y'all, if I know you know who Misbehaved is, if you have not subbed to her, please hit that subscribe, go to her channel. If you I don't know if Justice
posted on mine because I was running so late. I was just like, today, I don't even know where today went. I'm like, it just like flew by.
I've been up since like 5 a.m. I had stuff to do. Justice probably posted it, or Jinx one. She probably did. I think I saw yours. Anyway, go check out Misbehaved, and if I knew what I was doing, I would throw a link up. But you know, I wasn't even supposed to be on.
Just they've been putting links up. They put links up, so I appreciate it.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you well and everything, and maybe we'll get this figured out. And anytime you want to talk, just give me a call.
One of these days, maybe I'll get mine worked up, and then we can come on mine if I ever figure this out. StreamYard does seem a lot easier than, I mean, I've done it off of mine, but I've had someone else control it, like I said, but it seems a bit easier.
Yeah.
But then again, it's a paid membership. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like OBS, there's some things I really love about it. I had a cute little frame for us all, and
you could do the little, like, when people, like, you could do little like pop-ups and stuff, right? Like little cute stickers.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
there's a lot of good things. I actually started today with Streamlab OBS because it was easier to put a guest in, but it was glitchy. And
Oh yeah.
so I'm like, oh no, you know, I literally ran out of time. I'm like, okay, here's a Hail Mary, and this is how you do it. And yeah, you see how that works.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll let you know if there's anything I can do to help. I
Yeah,
will.
and I'll send you over that. I'll send you over that information, those screenshots I found on that other stuff, that CSAM stuff.
Oh yeah,
the snuff
yeah.
films and stuff. I mean, it's really like detailed, and it really goes. It covers like the globe, and it comes right back. You know, it's just crazy. It's crazy that it's out there and it hasn't been stopped. You know what I mean? That people know about it, and it's
Yeah.
just crazy.
Well, that just shows you how high up it goes, and nobody, nobody cares. Nobody wants to.
Yeah, especially now with our government and they're part of it. I mean,
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
It's
Free
crazy.
laptops for everybody.
Just no alcohol for you.
Yeah, I just know it's none for me. All right. Well,
All right.
I thank you so much for coming on.
Well,
And
thanks for
if there's
having me.
anything you want to say, say it. And
I say it. I'll say it if I say I'm not putting it in.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you to my mods, to Jinx, and to
they worked very
Justice.
hard.
Yes, they did. And it was literally today. They're like, do you have any mods? No, I don't even know how to do that. I don't know.
And it's it's so hard to mod, because I used to mod for a lot of channels too, because it's hard to pay attention and pay attention to chat too. So it really is a lot of work, because you have to just, you're focusing on that, so you kind of miss. And then if you want to say something, you go to say it, and then you like miss all these other chats. It's a job. It's definitely a chore. So I appreciate all of them.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of things I know
I
I
don't
missed
want to
in
do it
chat.
again.
There's a lot of things I missed in chat, I'm sure, because like when we're talking and the chat's going up, they're saying some things that like I hate that I didn't, address some things, and I know it's
or I'm rambling on, distracting you, and I'm good at that.
No, it's just a conversation. But anyway, thanks to everybody for being here and hanging out with us forever and ever, and those of you that saw the debacle of our first live.
Yes.
Thanks for that, for sticking around after that, for sure.
It was our calm before the storm.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I gotta go feed my dogs.
Yeah, I understand. All right, I'll talk to you later, Misbehaved.
Okay. Bye. Bye everyone.
And bye-bye.